once again to Conscripted, episode 50. We've reached a milestone episode. What was your question, Ryan?
Oh, I was just gonna ask you something about the terrain. Do you just but it's not that big of a deal.
Okay.
I didn't thought we had more time before the intro finished.
So, who remembers what happened last week? In episode 49.
Pretty sure we all remember.
No one remembers. There's plenty of people who don't know what happened last week.
Arvos found out that he was another Zeke, kind of. I didn't have time to get details about it, though, because we were shortly accosted to... Wait, this what we already accosted already.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I mixed
that
up the
was
timeline
after we
here.
were in Concise.
So we had gone back to the military camp. We were immediately... I still didn't actually listen to what Tonelli and Dan or Mal talked about, so it's kind of implied that he was given a choice of how to handle this situation where I'm still curious too how they found out about the murder, because we were, after rewatching, due to Arvos' high intellect, I was given one rewatch with no notes of the session where we had killed the necromancer. And our would-be lawyer gave us some points that I'm going to bring up too. So it's interesting how they even found out that it was Zeke, or what transpired exactly, I guess. But some guards came up from Krzyzin and whisked Zeke off and all of us off back to Krzyzin to stand trial for the murder of the High Inquisitor. We've been told that we are witnesses, but I don't know if that's true, if we're all on trial or what the exact deal is, but
We're allowed to. We can choose to be witnesses on his behalf if we'd like.
yeah, it was a little chaotic, and we were all kept in a room, and we were told we had 1 hour before the trial was to be started.
Yes. So the trial being started is not precisely what's going on, but the effects of the trial are started. So what this means is, like, until then, you're all kind of held almost as prisoners, at least the 5 of you who are not Zeke. Zeke, in the meantime, is held until basically all of the people assigned to the case have freed up and can take this case personally. This case is going to be executed as swiftly as possible, as this is a very high-stakes case, especially since the military has apparently put it in order to have the case expedited as well, so that the party can get on its way once things are resolved, whichever way the resolution may go. Because of these things, like, all of you have kind of had to wait the shortest amount of time they can manage to make sure they get all the preparations in order. Zeke, when you are finally able to meet with your lawyer, both the lawyer that you asked for and Tonelli are there. You have been stripped of all of your belongings, obviously. And you are brought in cuffed, and may choose to either stand or sit down at the table where the Nomunu and Tonelli stand.
We all sit down.
Okay. They will take a seat then with you. The guards will, like, say knock if any of you needs to leave, and they will step out. Tonelli starts. Now, Zeke, it's important to know that we're going to get through this effectively and efficiently. We understand that what you did was within what the military needed to do. You, from what we understand, you operated fully in self-defense, correct?
I mean, I don't know anything about this law process here. Like, I don't know if I can talk freely or anything, so I can't say anything about anything right now.
The gnome speaks up. This is as private a room as I can manage to get. I'm sorry. Just so you know, I will be acting as your court lawyer. I guess at your request, whatever that is. But Tonelli will be directly representing you. as is customary for military service. We should be able to speak freely here, as this is a non-monitored chamber, aside from those looking from outside. But it is only the guards that can see in, and only limitedly, to make sure you're not trying to escape or create some, assault on either of us.
I'll sense motive that
Sure.
I can speak.
You can assume they're correct.
All right, so it's the questions: was it self-defense?
That is the first question that I have for you. It was in self-defense, was it not?
No. I mean, well, it might have been. So this dude takes control of people's minds. I don't know if he had somebody's mind under his control, but yeah, I killed him because I had to stop him.
Do you have proof of such things?
My mental scars.
And you'd be willing to subject those to the court?
Well, I mean, I guess I'd have to, I believe.
Well, the law cannot make you do anything you don't wish to do. Aside from, if you're guilty, they will obviously convict you and sentence you. But the law cannot forcibly compel information from your mind under the Treaty of Thoth.
I don't know. I mean, you guys are the lawyers. Like, you tell me whether it's beneficial or not.
It could be beneficial, although there's some things that we're having a lot of trouble with. One of which is there's some evidence that's been accepted, which is quite troublesome. Are you familiar with a book you had in your possession? Had a number of names in it?
Sure.
And a map that you had that had some specific points on it?
That where I would have just marked down where the random dude out in the woods was, right?
It had some kind of marks on it. Where I've only gotten to look at it in limited sitting when it was first introduced. I'll be looking over it more when I get more answers from you.
Well, no, I'm asking out of character. Like, is this you're talking about when I asked you to mark where the Secret Eater dude was?
Yeah, you have in your possession a map of spellcasters. You literally have it written on your character sheet.
Oh, wizard hunting map?
Yep.
So it's not actually a map. That's just what I call that thing with
The
all
book?
the names.
Okay.
That's one and the same. That's
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay, those are the same thing. Got it. Okay, so there's no actual map. There's just got it.
It's my book of wizards, yeah.
Okay. So there is this book, and this is one of their chief points of evidence that has them concerned. This book makes it look as though you have quite a potential hit list, considering, according to what they're saying, at least two of these people are known to be dead.
Yeah.
One of them,
the two people were dead in there.
One of the people listed here, though, is supposedly the reason you were brought in the first time you came to Krzyzin. What supposedly led to you meeting with the Grand Inquisitor in the first place? Yes? And this was the man from the Dark Militia.
Yeah, I wrote tattooed sorcerer from the Dark Militia.
Zeke, when they ask you these questions, they're going to ask them to you like they don't know, even when they do know. And if you answer in a way that makes them feel like you're being anything other than direct, they're going to, some people that are judging this may deem that what you're doing is attempting to be evasive. So answer the questions as if you don't, as if maybe they don't know. Answer them cleanly and plainly so you don't get caught up in them stating something different than what you said, or them making it known to the court something that you maybe weren't letting know.
Can I get an example?
So if they ask you, does this list include people that you are close to? How do you think you would answer that question?
Yes.
If they were to ask you, is there anyone on this list that if you had the opportunity you would kill, what would your answer be? That isn't already dead.
Well, I need to move the Kashram. Oh yeah, the Kashram. The Kashram dude. Well, I know that he's not the Kashram now, but
Yeah. But you know he's
Yeah.
not dead.
yeah. So that dude, sure.
Okay. These are questions that they are likely to ask, and they are likely to go through each of the names on this list one by one before you. This list is pretty rough because, as to many people, this may look like a hit list. You now have 3 of the 12 people listed on it that are dead. Or, I'm sorry, 2 of them that are dead, and 1, I guess you said, isn't quite dead?
Right.
I think we can still work within this. I think this can be like a list of people you're concerned with. But they are going to attempt to present that. So we need you to be clear about things. You do work with us to try to track down and assess threats. This is an adequate threat list, but I wouldn't say that this is necessarily a hit list. But based on what's transpired, that may be what they try to sell. As far as what has happened with your mind, it's not really up to us whether you subject yourself or not. I know not the situation that happened there, so I know not whether or not it would be in your best interest to decide whether or not to kill him, or to have decided whether or not to kill him, and to have decided whether or not your actions were within reasonable guidelines of the situation.
So also, I mean, like, so I don't know if this matters at all, but Reckless has magically modified what I have written in there too, so that I don't know if that affects anything, but just so that you guys are aware.
We see no arcane residue on your book.
I mean, he definitely changed some stuff. Like, I had written his name more like how you would spell an arachnid, and he changed it how it was spelled. And I don't know, he might have changed something else that I didn't notice also. So I can't be 100% certain what's in there.
Well, if it was long enough ago, we wouldn't be able to identify it.
Okay.
So unfortunately, stating that won't likely do us any good since we have no proof of it. That is important to know, though. I'll keep that in mind as we move forward with the evidence in the case. Shit. Hold on, some of my notes went missing. There we go. Now, evidence B is a whole nother issue that may speak to another problem that we have, but either way, you're going to be called to answer for it. It will be proof of your actions, most importantly. Are you aware of some books that were in the Grand Inquisitor's study?
Yeah.
Are you aware of what happened to those books?
No, I didn't take any of them, but I think the party did, so they probably would know.
Okay. That will be important. Make sure that you are very clear on that you are familiar with the books and that you did nothing with them. These are the two biggest pieces of evidence they have, and it doesn't sound like they have much. So hopefully, this should be an open and shut case.
Okay, so also when we were there, he said that he had raised me from the dead, and that meant I was his property. So I don't know how that might affect this also, but...
You have no recollection of that, though, correct?
Nope.
I myself am not certain quite how this will work. I'm afraid here that I'll have to have our friend here look into the ownership clauses that might be relevant to this. That I'm aware of, in nature, resurrecting somebody itself doesn't give you property rights to them. But I have heard that the salamanders have come up with alternative ways of resurrecting people in their law magic that might give some kind of ownership should things happen. But it is assumed that you'd have to remember these things, I would think. But we'll make sure things are dug into more. But when you were brought into his chambers, you were threatened, correct? Or how did things go? Let's start there. What happened when you were brought to the chambers and the doors were closed behind you?
I don't remember.
You mentioned something about him claiming you were his property. Did you learn it then, or did you learn it later?
At some point while I was in there, I don't remember when it would have been. It was at some point in there, though. Yeah.
Did you attack him first, or did he attack you first?
I don't remember.
Okay. All right, we'll look into what we can, and we will reconvene on things as soon as we can. All right, so the rest of you, each of you will have someone from the what's the name of this? From the adjudication department, come into your rooms, escorted by a couple of guards. They will sit down with each of you, and they have a couple of very simple questions. So let us start with Ra.
All right.
Good evening. Are you Rakada?
Yes, I am.
Okay, very good. I believe the spelling is. Please spell your name for me.
Rahkada.
Okay. Are you a follower of Shishat?
I am.
How long have you been a worshiper of Shishat?
Almost all my life.
And can you tell me how your relationship has been with Shishat?
For the most part, I would say good. We've had our rocky moments, but for the most part, I would say my relationship with Sashat has been a very good relationship.
And how would you say that your relationship with your party has been?
For the most part, good.
If it were to be revealed to you that one of your party didn't think very highly of you and mistrusted you, how would that make you feel?
Probably fairly unhappy, given I have done pretty much everything in my power to help keep them all safe.
And how would you say your relationship with Mr. Leopold is?
I would say we are co-workers in our party. We don't have a lot of interactions. We work together, we fight together, we travel together. That's probably about the extent of it.
Now, please understand, you are not obligated to answer yes to either of these questions, but we are obligated to ask you these questions. The first question is, do you wish to speak for the defense? I should say give testimony for the defense.
I guess I would give testimony of the knowledge I have. I don't necessarily know if my knowledge will help either side, but I would give testimony of my knowledge.
Do you wish to give testimony for the prosecution?
Again, I would give testimony for any knowledge I have. Like I said, I'm not really sure. I mean, I don't know if anything I know would help the prosecution or the defense, but I will freely give testimony of the knowledge I have of the situation in question.
Thank you very much. Someone else will be here to see you shortly.
Okay.
Aravos. Are you Aravos of the former of the Salamander family?
Yes, I guess former, yes.
Are
Is
you?
it, I'm not super versed on the laws, but am I not entitled to my representative being company to these questions, or what's the?
We can bring Tonelli here if you wish.
Yes.
Okay. He'll step out, and a few minutes later, Tonelli will come in. Something wrong?
Well, I just don't know my rights. You seem to be more versed in the laws here. I spend a lot of my time in the mansion. I didn't really need to concern myself with the laws. Maybe you can offer some guidance in answering some of these questions. I don't want to.
Fair enough. These should
wanna
be
know
simple
my rights.
questions, but I'll stand with you if that's what you feel necessary.
Well, I signed that conscription for something, I guess, right?
Yes. If you hadn't, you wouldn't be here in the first place.
True.
The person walks back in. Now, Aravos, may we continue?
Yes.
Very good. Are you aware of any enemies that you might have?
That's a loaded question. Enemies I might have. I look at Tonelli. What is the extent of the response you're expecting here?
Anyone
That's
that you perceive as someone who would do ill will to you, I assume, is the question at hand.
There are a lot of people I assume would do ill will to me. I don't even know really why I'm being forced to be held here against my will. So probably you. There is a. I guess out of character, you did confirm that I do know Zeke has this wizard hunting book, right?
Yes. Well, it's a book with a bunch of wizards' name in it that was referred to you as a wizard hunting book.
The fellow Zeke may. I don't think he would harm me, but his extracurricular activities do concern me.
That is. How do you feel about the rest of your group?
Well, I think a lot of them are means to an end. Aldronicus has shown me he at least has a good heart in things. I, for one, don't care for such a fool's errand and things he hopes for. But that Cassius one, I'd watch him though. He's done some weird things. But the rest of them, couldn't say one way or the other. Spinks, she's a powerful caster. I haven't had much going on with her. She's crafted some powerful items for the group. Roz, done some good things here and there. Zeke, I haven't talked much of, but...
Do you believe your life to be in personal danger? As of this moment?
From the people in my party?
That or otherwise, that may have direct or indirect interactions with this trial.
I looked at Tonelli, am I in any trouble here? Or am I just required to give testimony if I...
This man asks very specific questions to make sure that he is aware of where you stand with relation to your party, and whether or not you're someone who'd even be eligible to give testimony.
Ah. Well, my life was threatened when we entered that room. I know a great deal of things that transpired in there.
But as of right now, do you feel threatened by anyone that might have immediate or close access to you during this trial proceeding?
Immediate or close access? I think the only one that I'd be somewhat afraid of would be Zeke, but not in any... I don't think he'd harm me.
Do you wish for us to take you into protective custody?
No.
Okay. Do you wish to testify on behalf of the defense?
I looked at Tonelli. Would it be beneficial? I don't plan on having any biases in my testimony.
I cannot tell you whether or not it would be beneficial. I can simply tell you that you should evaluate what you feel happened and make the determination whether or not you feel it would be beneficial. I don't know exactly what happened there. I know what Zeke has told me, and I know what Mal has told me.
Am I allowed to give myself open for call by either party? I would willingly give testimony, but I don't know if anyone even wants it. So,
we do ask about both. Yes, you will be after this asked if you would like to testify for the prosecution.
I'll testify for anyone who asks for it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cassius, you're next.
Yep,
Are you Cassius King?
that's me.
How is your relationship with the rest of the party?
Oh, this is just the guy, right?
This is just the guy.
I get along just fine with most of them.
Do you have any reason to believe anyone in your party would wish to harm you in any way?
Well, you say harm, but I think that implies specific intent. I think Arius would sell us out if it benefited him, but Arvos, sorry. I think Arvos would sell us out if it benefited him enough, but I don't think that he would intentionally harm us. He has yet to do so.
So it is your belief that there may be some among you that are not necessarily as forthcoming with facts as others?
I mean, I'd like to think that if they wanted to offer up that information, I'd be more than willing to listen, but I also know that some people appreciate their privacy, and I'm not one to pry too much, unfortunately. Or not unfortunately, I'm not one to pry too much.
Do you wish to testify on behalf of the defense?
That would be Zeke, right?
That is correct.
Yeah, I'll testify on his behalf.
Do you wish to testify? Do you wish to testify for the prosecution?
Who's the prosecution?
the city of Krazizen.
Oh, I mean, I guess, am I legally obligated to?
Nope, that is why we ask.
Cool. I mean, I ain't trying to hide nothing, but I still got to crawl about some of the things city's done. Some of the people here.
Fair enough. All right, Sphinx. Are you Sphinxara?
Indeed.
Do you look as though you have some sort of connection to the divine? Do you worship someone? I notice not a traditional holy symbol.
Yes, in a way.
Whom do you speak on behalf of?
Have you heard of the Spirit Mother?
I'm unfamiliar, no. But I will take down this information. How is your relationship with this Spirit Mother?
I'd say it's been going fairly well.
Good. Do you have any... How do you feel about your party?
I feel pretty good about most of them. They've, been nice to me thus far.
Do you have a reason to believe any of them would wish to hurt you?
No, I have no reason to believe that.
Do you wish to testify for the defense? You are not obligated to say yes to either of these questions. And saying no will not cause any harm to you or cause any complications to your current status.
I'm aware, I just feel bad, but no.
Do you wish to testify for the prosecution?
No.
Thank you. Maldronicus. Are you Maldronicus Ironhand?
This is my name.
You are a studier of the arcane, correct? Like your friend Aravos?
It is one of many facets of my studies, yes.
Do you have any reason to believe that Zeke would wish any harm upon you?
No.
Do you have reason to believe anyone in your party would wish harm on you?
No.
Do you have any reason that anyone you might have immediate or close contact with would have any reason to harm you?
No.
Do you wish to testify for the defense?
How does this work, Tonelli? Is this the lawyer Tonelli talking
This
to me?
This is not either. This person just simply comes around to
okay.
to evaluate like the relative level of your ability to testify in the first place.
Well, what does that mean, testify for the defense? It means only the defendants comes up? Will I be something like cross-examined, if that's a term?
Yeah, what it means is that you could potentially be placed on a list of people that will be called by either the defense or the prosecution. They will speak to you as if you are friendly and have the right to change that should your demeanor not be responsive to the questions asked. They will also each have an opportunity to ask you any questions they wish to prior to going to proceedings.
Yes, it's a delicate matter. Yes, you can put me on the list. I'll testify.
For the defense, would you like to testify also for the prosecution?
Preferably not.
Fair enough. Okay. So, Aravos, the first person for questions will come to you. This person represents the prosecution. They step in and will lay a couple of things on the table in front of you, and have a seat across from you, pulling a pen from their jacket pocket, and pulling a clipboard from their side. You are Arvos Salamander, is that correct? Tinelli will be here momentarily.
Yes. Can I do a check to see if I recognize him since I was from here? Is he like a popular someone, or is that a charisma check, or what is that?
That would be a intel check or a knowledge local if you have any ranks in it.
I do.
Okay. Yes. So you would know this man as. One second here.
It's like the best attorney in the city or something.
Let's get this. You would know this as Camille Oliver. Camille is a very high-ranking prosecuting attorney. Traditionally, he does not deal with this type of case. Usually, his work is in like a wide variety of other legal issues, normally around person versus person cases. Not so much in working with the state. So for him to be here is kind of a unique thing.
So yeah, the reason I asked is Arvus would want to be like a smartass and try to like surprise him that he knows who he is. Yes, Mr. Oliver, is it? I've heard of your escapades, although this seems to be a strange case for you to be working on.
I agree as well, but there's a lot to be made from taking and successfully running through this case. And I think I'm the right person for it. I'm the right person to look at this case the right way. I think the state will make a show of it. And I think it's important that we prosecute this person properly for their crimes. And to make sure that justice is certainly done. I think that through what information I have, I may be able to discover even more about some problems that might be going on here. This might open up the doors for a number of other cases for me. You know how this goes. Your family's well aware of it.
Well, I'm sure you heard, but I'm not so much connected with that information flow.
Yes, that is true. Your father is a very stubborn and direct person. And I don't suppose he liked the idea that you left home now, did he?
Not at all.
He jots some stuff down on the piece of paper in front of him. Tinelli finally comes in.
Took you long enough, Tinelli.
I've got a lot going on with this case.
I know. It's fine. I have nothing to hide from this man.
Now,
although you did speak of opening up other cases, are you implying against the rest of us?
Depends on what comes up. Now, Aravos. I don't know if you've taken a new last name yet.
Not yet.
Are you familiar with this document here? And he taps a long list of names written out, a long list of names and descriptions on a piece of paper.
Am I identifying this as Zeke's kill list?
Theoretically, you can look at it. It is a list of 12 people, with some of them named by name, some of them named by description. And on there, you are a name that looks very similar to yours is listed in the number 9 slot. And another very familiar name to you is listed in the number 1 and number 7 slots.
The familiar names are wizards, I'm assuming.
The first name, the number 1 slot is Heracles. The number 7 name looks like maybe Ricotta. It's spelled like the cheese. And it also says following it, divine spellcaster Sha Shit Worshipper. Under your category, it says Heracles' lackey, small apartment in Kazarim, stop movement, create decoy, boost strength, web, super skinny elf in wizard robes, claims not to worship gods.
I assume these were the crude notes of Zeke.
Yes, that is correct. Do you feel that this accurately portrays you?
Of course not. I mean, he's obviously got some details right. It concerns me that he's keeping track of my whereabouts. I did not realize that I was under that close scrutiny by him.
What do you think he means by stop movement, create decoy?
Sounds like a contingency to try and bring me down or something.
But he also lists boost strength and web. Now, you have access to web, yes?
That's true.
And do you have access to any spells that boost strength?
That seems like a lot of things Spinks does, but I do have access to such a spell that I don't really use that much.
So do you think these are notes about you or notes for doing something to you?
Well, the stop movement and create decoy. I'm not sure if have I ever created a decoy? No, I don't really understand that part, but the other notes seem to detail what I typically do in our combats.
He jot some more things down.
Not exactly sure what his purpose with that is, but...
Do you believe that given the opportunity, one of your party might have interest in offing you?
Well, it's already happened.
Really?
But he was under a mind-affecting spell, but I wouldn't hold it against him.
So you don't have any reason to believe they would otherwise?
To be honest, I'm not quite sure. I always like to keep my guard up, but everyone's under conscription of the military. I fear none of them would be foolish enough to commit such a crime while being conscripted. It would be akin to suicide. I don't think any of my party members are suicidal.
Are you familiar with anyone else on this list? Looking at it, by the way, I think other than maybe the Secret Eater between Kazarim and Mukmak, you would be aware of, and Kandor Savant you would be aware of, and of course Blacksmith Inc.
I don't know if I remember. I don't know if the name of the book guy is on that list, or if Arvos never met that guy.
Yeah, Arvos never met that guy.
Right.
I'm sorry, and the last one is the Kazarim. And that Rekshasha. Sorry, I didn't scroll down far enough.
Yes, I list all those that I'm familiar with. Seems Zeke is keeping tabs on those with spellcasting abilities.
Now let me ask you the most important question.
Mm-hmm.
Did Zeke Leopold kill the Grand Inquisitor?
Tinelli's in this room, right?
Yes.
He did.
Was this an act of self-defense when he killed the Grand Inquisitor?
Well, how do you define self-defense?
A person whose life is in immediate danger. To something.
No way. But to be fair, this or I don't know what you call it, the High Inquisitor, he broke several laws in obtaining us, and he claimed he had legal ownership over Zeke, And if that were the case, he should have just had the guards escort him to him, but he had some odd choice in how he determined to exact his justice, as it were. Very unlawful in his conduct.
Are you familiar with the law that requires the Grand Inquisitor to maintain total
anonymity? However you say the word.
Anonymity? Yes.
Anonymity? I am not familiar with that.
It is for this reason that the Grand Inquisitor cannot summon people under normal circumstances. The Grand Inquisitor is given special circumstance to summon people, but they need to provide reason for summoning them. There are some special circumstance codes that allow loopholes to this, but in most cases, the Grand Inquisitor would not have a natural method of summoning someone. Now, I'm to understand that this Mr. Leopold had also recently murdered another person. Is that correct? A person that was a member of the Dark Militia that went by the name of Deceit.
Not sure familiar with the name, but out of curiosity, did I know for sure he made the killing blow on that? Really?
You don't know for sure.
Oh, okay. We were accosted by these traitors to the military, and they attacked. We sought them out because they were parading around as us and causing disruption in the military. And I believe that's punishable by death. So they, yes, the Inquisitor had called us for the murder of these people, but then he changed his story and just wanted Zeke's to be his. He didn't care about this at all, really. So,
well, that would be
detained us illegally.
That's not necessarily an illegal detainment. The details of the case were not finalized. The case was declared finalized shortly after, or perhaps before. We believe the ink was penned prior to the Inquisitor's death, but the case was dropped upon finding the document in his chamber. The document in the chambers of law that identified that Deceit had not been killed by your group.
A lot of this seems to be come down to a lot of misunderstandings. Why weren't we told in any of our memories?
Why weren't you? I'm sorry, you cut out.
Oh, sorry, my internet froze. Arvos say, this seems to be this whole situation was caused by a lot of misunderstandings. We should have been told that we would not be allowed to retain our memories upon being summoned by him. And this calls into question a whole other thing of how anyone even keeps checks on this man and his power, because clearly he abused it. And I even offered him as much as to leave him to his legality so we could figure it out if he had let me retain my memories to discuss the matters, but how could one even do anything in that situation?
We agree that there is something very, very wrong with the circumstances by which this occurred. There should in no way have been... there should have been some better system for us to identify that he was able to do such things in the way that he did. We do not disagree with your statement there. It is something that I personally have worked to try to get things changed on. It has ruined a large number of my cases at times, and I personally believe that the Grand Inquisitor's methods were not on the up and up. But it is very difficult in circumstances to prove such things, and so we simply must operate around things that they are until we can get things changed. But this is a case that will change this. This is a case that will make life for me easier.
Well, yes, to your point, the kill definitely was not self-defense in the moment, but this man had bewitched his mind several other times, jeopardizing several of our missions, causing Zeke's life to be in peril. Perhaps. I'm not sure what happened during his possessions. I could tell he was overridden with rage in the moment, so I don't blame the guy, is what I'm trying to say.
Very well. Thank you for your time. Cassius, you only agreed to the defense, right?
I agreed to the defense.
And you said
don't
no
think-
to the
I
prosecution.
said I think I said I'd rather not
Okay.
if I didn't have to. Yeah.
So, Ra, the same man comes to visit you next. You are Rakata? Yes?
Yes, I am.
Please look at line item 7 on this document. Is this supposed to be your name? It says Rakata, Divine Spellcaster, Shah Shit Worshipper.
I would assume probably.
And you are a worshipper of Shashat, correct?
Yes, I am.
Were you under the impression that your party member harbored ill will for your personal position and opinions?
No.
In the circumstances that occurred that day, did you witness Zeke murder the Grand Inquisitor?
Yes.
And was it in self-defense?
Fine self-defense.
Self-defense would be protecting yourself from your potential demise.
Overall potential demise or demise in that moment?
So there needs to be a direct and immediate threat.
Then it was not self-defense.
Did anyone attempt to stop him? As a follower of Sashat, I can assume that there would be some interest in you ceasing information from being gathered in such a pivotal moment.
Yes, our commander, Maldronicus, was attempting to stop him, and I was attempting to aid the altercation by being close at hand and trying to protect everyone's minds from potential evil threats.
He writes some things down. So your commanding officer, this Maldronicus, he stepped in to protect the conscious or unconscious Grand Inquisitor.
Maldronicus had just finished, I believe, knocking the Grand Inquisitor to what we assumed unconscious. However, I do not believe we had the chance to adequately determine his state, but it was assumed unconscious, by myself at least. And he was standing in front of the body when Zeke approached. They had an altercation. Maldronicus did attempt to prevent anything from happening to the Inquisitor in that moment.
Do you have any past historical evidence that that it is likely that your commander would have incapacitated and not caused the death of the Grand Inquisitor?
Yes. Our commanding officer, Maldronicus, is known for doing non-lethal damage in every situation that he can. He very rarely is seen using lethal damage.
And the marks that would be left behind traditionally look different than they do.
I believe so, yes. They seem less deep, I believe, than marks made with lethal force.
Now, is there a particular reason that Maldronicus failed in his attempt to stop Mr. Leopold from completing his goal?
I do not know of any particular reason. I've heard there could be something interestingly magical about his Mr. Leopold's weapon, but I don't have specific knowledge on what his weapon does. But our commanding officer, Maldronicus, knocked Zeke, Mr. Leopold, unconscious pretty much as soon as he could, but it seemed to be too late.
Do you believe Zeke took the right action in that circumstance?
As a follower of Sasha, I would have to say no. I believe that spellcasters can be controlled in a manner to where we might have potentially been able to get more information from him. And I think that would have been the best course of action in that moment.
Thank you, Rakata. I have nothing further. All right. Maldronicus, you are met by somebody representing Mr. Leopold. You are met by a familiar gnome from before. Hello, Maldronicus.
Surprised you remember me.
I have your name right here.
Ah, yes.
Now, I've gotten some interesting information, and I'm not sure of your awareness. So let's start with questions of that nature. Did the Grand Inquisitor make any statements to you when you first entered his chamber?
Yes, he made many.
Did any of them particularly stick out to you?
Well, amongst many things, we asked if we could have a discussion. He basically said he's going to have his way with Zeke, and we are to all leave, and if we stay, he will have his way with us as well. Something along those lines. I don't take idly to people threatening my party, so that stands out for certain. He mentioned something along the lines of Zeke belonged to him. We pushed for a bit further on that. The man more or less expressed that he seemed to have claimed to have resurrected them at some point. Zeke seemed to have no memory of this, which begs the question, how could this have been a willful arrangement? But to me, it sounded a bit like slavery. Beyond that, he did not say much more. Those are the things that stand out the most to me, other than a lot of idle bickering.
And when you entered, was the room empty, or were there things within the room?
He had assembled an array of different skeletal beings to resurrect to attack us.
Were there other guards and wards in place that that prevented you from being able to protect yourselves against these things?
Yes, he had placed a type of pain-inducing wards throughout the chamber. I did not fully understand how they worked, but the Inquisitor in our group, Rakata, she would be a better one to ask on the way that these manifested.
The prosecution is going to ask you this, and this is very important. Do you believe that Zeke is a threat to your party?
Define threat to the party.
Do you believe that he harbors ill will towards any member of the party?
His agenda tends to be, while he's paranoid of all types of wizards, myself included, I'm sure, he tends to take more personal agenda to those that influence minds in negative manners against their will. No one in our party conducts such magic. In fact, Ra actively conducts against that type of magic. And Erebos, at least to my knowledge, does not have any spells of that sort either. I would not.
I was afraid you might say this. This is a big thing they're going to bring up when it comes down to it. Can you please take a look here at this, items 7 and 9? Item 7 is Rakata, and item 9 is Aravos. Both the two lines that I've already said a few times.
Yeah.
These were taken from a list that Zeke has of people. At this point now, 2 of the 12 people on this list are dead. by either his or the hands of your group. Looking at especially the line for Aravos, how do you perceive the words "stop movement, create decoy"?
Ervos, if I were to best describe his types of magic, he has an interference-like strategy. He has the ability to, like myself, create images of himself. I taught it to him. He also likewise has many abilities to interfere with other creatures and also summon literal creatures from other realms.
Creatures that could potentially stop movement and create decoy?
Well, the creatures themselves, in a way, are decoy. Their combat stats tend to be very underwhelming compared to anyone in this party at this point. But I'd say the images would most likely be decoy. Stop movements could refer to the way that his web manifests. It could refer to potentially any of the stunning effects that he usually prepares.
And has he ever expressed any disinterest in the gods or the worship thereof?
He doesn't really ever talk about the gods. I assume him to not be a religious man.
Do you know why he would then express? Oh, you said you. Sorry, I misunderstood you. I thought you said he is, but you believe him not to be.
Yes, he's never spoken of a god to me in our time of traveling. He's not as anti-religious as Erebos, but I would not assume any religion of him, not to the extent that Ra and Sphinx and myself take our religions.
This is so far some good news. One question I do have for you, which will be asked for unrelated reasons, I'm sure. How is it that Heracles came into possession of the books that were the property of the Grand Inquisitor?
Well, I would say I don't know because I actually don't know, but I guess with some very simple deductive reasoning, there's only one explanation for that. Do I need to say it?
Perhaps you do.
There's my party needed a very beneficial type of caster to succeed at this mission that we took on. I don't think the party would have wanted him with us if not for the threat, but he does seem to go behind our backs on things. I did not know that he was delivering information directly to Heracles, so this is news to me.
Very well. I think you already have things well together, although there is some questions I have regarding the Grand Inquisitor's final moments. Did Zeke Leopold kill him in self-defense?
I don't truthfully know if Zeke even killed him. He may have already been dead. We didn't have time to check the body before Zeke, in his rage, struck him down further.
But the man was unconscious and then was hit again.
Well, we don't necessarily know. I cast a conjuration foil spell on him to prevent him from escaping. He nonetheless tried to teleport despite that, and I do believe that magic could have ravaged a man of his age. Up to that point, I had mostly been doing subdual to him. But depending on how hardy a man is of that state, trying to cast any sort of teleportation spell while in a conjuration foil could have killed him. But if he was unconscious after that, then yes, Zeke would have almost certainly had killed him. The man was unconscious, and other than the threat of his skeletons, which we were keeping under wraps, there was no more pertinent threats. But it is worth noting that this man had caused massive problems for us in the past. He, in many instances, had controlled Zeke's mind, even caused harm to civilians while doing it. That's the sadistic things that this man did. Tried to make me do the same. I resisted, fortunately. But this man had a very aggressive agenda that could have jeopardized things had we not taken him down. I was hoping to have done it and have the local law do it, but obviously that is not the way that it played out.
Very good. Thank you. All right. The defense will come to see Rakarada next. It is Tonelli that arrives in your quarters. I'm not going to ask a lot of questions. Prosecution apparently rushed to choose you to testify, and I am merely here to ask some simple questions for clarification or cross-examination.
Okay.
Do you believe that Zeke wanted this man dead?
I do.
Do you believe that the reasons he wanted this man were justified?
Yes.
Do you believe Zeke intends any harm to other member of your group? Or anyone else on the list that he has?
I don't believe he means any harm to anyone in our group, but I can't say to everyone on the list. I don't know his thoughts and actions concerning them.
Do you believe Zeke to be of sound mind?
I believe that there are moments where I would say no, but that I do not believe he is always that way. But there are moments where it seems his rage gets the best of him.
You are their best testimony. I'm not going to ask you to change your opinions or your story. That would be very clearly wrong. Is this genuinely your feelings, Rakarada?
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Do you believe that there are times where Zeke is not of the right mind?
I do.
Very well then. Thank you for your time. Cassius. Tonelli comes to your room.
Tonelli?
He just kind of like sits down in the chair in your room.
I'll offer him a drink.
For the first time you've ever seen, Tonelli takes a drink. And quite a long one.
That good, huh?
You were there.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me. Maldronicus did what he could to stop Zeke from potentially ruining someone that could have given quite a bit of information right now. Is that correct?
You talking about that wizard?
Yes.
I wish I could give you a more detailed answer, but I was busy being gored by the rhinoceros he summoned there to kill Zeke. kept coming back to life and they were bickering and it gored me and nearly ripped me in half.
So our best testimonies in defense right now are Maldronicus, who could potentially be asked while on the stand if he has anything to lose by Zeke being prosecuted, and if he would be willing to change his statements based on that, or if he feels it could be weighing on him in some indirect way. I know there's a question they could ask, I just can't think of the phrasing, and I have to make sure that I'm ahead of it.
Oh, they're going to try to push some information out of him?
No, they're going to try to discredit Maldronicus. It seems as though Rakata doesn't believe that Zeke may be of sound mind at all times, and this could be very damning. And our only other available person to ask is the least trustworthy person you have among you.
Arvos?
Yes. A man who has been dismissed by the Salamander family and discredited throughout the city.
Yeah, a lot of that it seems like he brings on himself, but I don't know.
Well,
I've been trying not to be such a dick to him, even though he makes it real hard.
I have a feeling in some way he's responsible for all this.
Pardon me if I'm not surprised by that. I to be fair, to his credit though, there's probably something going on with his family, and I don't think that he fully knows what's going on. That's as much credit as I can give him, but I'd say he's maybe indirectly responsible, but it could be more.
Do you in any way think that Zeke is of sound mind?
Well, the only times I've seen Zeke do anything that were substantially questionable were times that his mind was taken over. Like that time in the city when he attacked that guy.
What about when his mind wasn't influenced? Did he ever try to influence anyone to kill anyone, or does he ever talk about that being important that people get killed or die?
I mean, maybe. He don't speak much, though.
So, from this list of people that he has here, I need to know, because I need to know, based on answers he's given me, did he ever say that he wanted to kill Iraklis?
I don't recall him saying that, but...
Did he ever say that he wanted to kill Thrinian of Commenster, some kind of dwarf that owns a bookstore?
Oh, is that the guy that was, like, doing real shady shit and selling...
He has something about that he was selling books, that he was selling illegal things, and if you break his, like, deals, he'll wipe your mind.
Yeah, because he had Sphinx sign something when she bought something there, and then we found out that it was some sort of contingency or something where if she did something, then she would have her mind wiped of that memory or something. I'm not a magic expert.
Did he ever mention anything about wanting to murder him?
Murder's a pretty strong word. I mean, they both seem pretty evil, so I wouldn't be surprised if, given the appropriate...
No, that's all I needed to hear.
Look, all I'm saying is if Iraklis did something super evil and started fireballing a town or something, I'd try to take him out. I don't think that he would do it for a petty reason.
Yes, but what I need to know is, at this point, is this a hit list? I need to know if what we're dealing with is a wild card in our team, and I regret that I let Maldronicus make the decision of how we should have gone to trial with this. I am very worried that right now we have somebody who has composed a list of every person he thinks is a dangerous wizard and is systematically trying to kill each and every one of them.
Well,
it's not my decision to lay before our tribunal.
I understand.
This is before the court of Chrysaisen, which means he will likely be banished to the labyrinth.
I can't say that it is or it isn't. I think that it's a list of preparedness, because I know that if I were going up against people, especially wizards and especially mind-affecting wizards, I don't know how many of them on there are, but...
Have you been researching for any reason into the acerbic arcanist? Are you familiar with this person in any way?
Name sounds familiar, but I don't...
If you're not familiar with who he is, then you're clearly not hunting him. How about this Candor Rossavant? I've never heard any of you mention him before.
Oh, is that that guy that was writing those books?
I don't know.
Oh, I've met him. I mean, I'd say he's probably, of the people I know on there, he's probably the least evil, but...
And how about this gnome from Lukil? Something about he wiped Arius's mind when Aravos... Or he read Aravos' mind when Arius was attempting to steal some kind of hat.
Oh, yeah, that's his thing. He steals stuff all the time. Or he tries to.
But this gnome... Why would he have... No, he has notes about it that he alters memories. But I don't... Did you know he alters memories? Did you get any information about that yourself? Was this pertinent to some kind of case you're working on?
Oh, that was a while ago. It sounds familiar, but I don't want to tell you.
See, this is the problem I have right now. I don't know about this man. 12 people in this book. 2 of them are dead. You do realize he also said he thinks Heracles has seen the book. Do you realize that jeopardizes our relationship with Kazarim if we are regularly sending back and forth somebody who's keeping tabs on whether or not he's a potential threat?
Well, I mean, Heracles is always spying on us. I mean, he also sent a spy with us and told us as much.
Yes, he's very clear about his intentions. Do you notice a difference between his intentions and Zeke's intentions?
I suppose, but...
This leaves me in a bad position. I am instructing a group of people to go places where there may be consequences for me sending them there. I don't know if I can send him to Lukil anymore, because I don't know if he's going to go there on some holy quest to eradicate some gnome there, and you're all going to end up in jail for it. Or you're all going to end up dead because the militia has to defend against him, and they take you as assistants or companions.
Have you ever had your mind controlled?
No, I cannot say that I have, but I can tell you this. If I would have better known what was going on here, I think we would have fed him to the dogs. He came here running from something. He needed to get away.
Didn't we all?
Yes, but each of you came here to change your behavior as well. Even Arius, before he died, changed who he was.
I miss that guy.
Zeke, on the other hand, is compiling some kind of list, some who's who list of wizards he doesn't like, and they're not even all wizards. For the love of all the gods, Rakata is on this list. Why is one of your clergy on this list?
I couldn't tell you. It's hard. I think it's hard to say that it's a hit list. I think that it's definitely keeping tabs on them, obviously. That's very clearly what it is.
But then why is Maldronicus and Spinxara not on this list? Do you see the difference here? He has 2 wizards of your party on the list. He has 2 spellcasters of one type on your list, and is missing the other 2. Why do you think this is?
I mean, to be fair, I haven't seen the entire list, so...
Well, but, unfortunately...
I don't know.
Well, here. He drops the list down in front of you. And at this point, I will present to you all the full list in Discord. Actually, I'm going to post it here in chat.
Oh yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Would I have seen this list when he was asking me, or was he just asking me generally?
He was just asking you. He was just asking you generally.
Okay, then I'm not going to read it.
I need to refresh because I can't scroll up or down for some reason.
I love that bug.
So yeah, let me take a look real quick. I already saw one of the things on there that I know. Let's see. Okay, we've got. Oh my god, very laggy. All right, Heracles. Well, it's obvious why he's keeping tabs on him. He's evil as shit, and he could potentially be a threat. I haven't seen him do anything explicitly threatening, but we also don't spy on him nearly as much as he spies on us.
Just look at the list. Notice that 2 of your own are not listed on here. 2 of the most powerful spellcasters that walk among you aren't listed, and the other 2 are. One of them, a cleric of Shishat.
That guy's evil. I mean, that guy does mind stuff, so he'd probably think he's evil. Yeah, Secret Eater. What is that? That's that evil god that Arvos worships, right?
Thoth.
Thoth? Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
the Secret Eater was that guy you met in between while you were walking, and he has that house like in the middle of.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was the guy that was doing Thoth shit, and that was offering to give us stuff in exchange for memories. I mean, Thoth's pretty evil, so that I understand that. Stevelo, I mean, honestly, are you surprised by that? Like,
I'm not looking for you to defend these, okay? If I wanted them defended, I would have just brought this list to Maldronicus, and he would have made excuses for everything.
Who's Ricotta?
Well, you'll notice he was regularly spelling names wrong. He also said that Heracles corrected his name. It's the only reason Heracles' name is spelled correctly.
Spellcaster I'm hunting, that's probably the guy that we killed. Arvos, yeah, he's always doing evil shit. Blacksmith think is heinously evil, no offense to you and your connections to them. I don't trust them one bit. I don't think you're surprised by that.
You don't trust anyone, that's why I'm asking you.
Hey, I trust you for the most part.
But do you trust Zeke?
I don't distrust him.
But you don't trust him.
There's a lot of people I don't trust, though.
Nothing further.
Yeah, these last 2 are super evil, too. Oh, and the Grand Inquisitor, that guy's evil. Yeah, most of these are evil people.
Alright, Zeke. Tonelli returns to you. I'm not sure what happened to your memory, Zeke. But there is a spell that was produced a long time ago in cooperation with the Salamander family. It is a spell that allows for the resurrection of somebody pending a acceptance of entering into a sort of indentured servitude. That they are property of that person until the debt is paid off. You're not aware of signing this ever?
No.
Are you aware of anyone else who's been a victim of this?
As far as, like, had been controlled by this guy?
Yes.
Yeah, Maldronicus was.
No, I mean that there was... That this well, perhaps I then should ask him. What is this list, Zeke? What is this list?
I was doing research on who the Grand Inquisitor was. This was my research up until I found out who he was.
Your research included other people from other cities, as well as two of the spellcasting members of your party, but not the other two?
Yeah, the two that came in later. I didn't know, I hadn't had issues with this guy for a while until I joined the military. Then all of a sudden he started coming back to my life. These two people were added later on, so of course I'm going to look into them.
Didn't you join the military to try to get away from him?
Wish I had my other computer that had my notes.
Sorry.
I don't remember. I'm pretty sure I did not, though. But I don't recall my character creation info that I gave you.
Did you give it to me in another form as well?
Maybe I sent it to you on Discord.
Let me double check. Hold on.
Private message.
All right, let's take...
But it's also very possible I just told you over the phone,
Yeah. Let's take a really short break. And while I try to find this, and...
But I do know that I had in the notes that that this had happened years in my past.
Right. Okay. All right, let's take a short break then. Well, we look up some things, and then we'll get back at it.